Arnold Classic is around the corner and RX Muscle has you covered with previews and analysis from the top minds in bodybuilding and interviews with the top competitors and personalities in the sport. It's RX Muscle's Iron Road to the Arnold, sponsored by Scitec Nutrition, only on rxmuscle.com.
Welcome back to Live with RX Muscle's Iron Road to the Arnold Classic, brought to you by Scitec Nutrition. Visit scitecnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and we're here tonight with Mr. Muscle Intelligence himself, Ben Pakulski. Welcome.
What's up, Dave? How you doing, man?
Good. I heard some good stuff about a new gym you just opened up called Mi40 down there in Florida. You got it. Before we get to all the other stuff, you got to tell me about it because this guy was so excited. I don't remember who it was who told me about it, but he said the gym was just like unbelievable, the best equipment he's ever seen.
Man, you know I'm a fan of bodybuilding, and I'm a fan of training, man. I love training. So I went out and literally hand-selected every single piece I've ever wanted. Like I was a 17-year-old kid shopping in Toys R Us, and I just went and picked everything from around the world. I made kind of a wish list, and I've checked off literally every single piece on the list. We've got, 2 sets of dumbbells up to 220. We've got, so the Watson dumbbells, which are the best dumbbells in the world, the UK, stainless steel. They're beautiful to look at as well as awesome to use. We've got all literally hand-selected every piece. We've got an awesome brand of equipment called Prime, which I think is literally the best stuff in the world. We've got 5 leg presses, 4 hack squats, 4 squat racks, the best Alico bars, the best plates, like literally everything I've ever wanted. And I put it in a 10,000 square foot private facility just for me. And literally everybody that comes here doesn't want to leave. So it's a pretty awesome place. Like I said, it's private. We do camps every month, so people can come attend a camp at the gym. It's either a 2-day camp or a 4-day camp where we basically teach you everything you need to know about training for each body part.
And what does it cost to go to one of your camps? Like, what does someone have to pay for like a 2 or 4 day camp experience?
2-day camp is $9.97. 4-day camp is $14.97. We do early bird discounts if you get in quick. We book them literally every month, and they're sold out within usually 3 or 4 days. So we try to launch them within 6 or 8 weeks prior to the date, and then they're sold out within 3 to 4 days. And the irony of it is most of the people, I would say 95% of the people, are from outside of the U.S. So we get people coming from Europe, South America, Australia, literally everywhere, and Canada. And very small percentage of people coming from the U.S., which is kind of ironic considering it's here. But yeah, we get people coming, emailing from like Orlando, which is an hour away, going, "Oh, when are you going to do the camp in Orlando?" Lazy asses don't want to even drive an hour. Whereas we get people flying from Australia to come to the camp. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's awesome. It's a great experience. We try to make it a life-changing experience, right? We get people coming here. When they leave, not only are they getting, a program, they're learning how to train. We're helping them with nutrition. Trying to literally, like I say, make it a life-changing experience. And it's not just like, oh, I went and had to work out at Ben's gym. It's not what it's about. So, it's a 2-to-1 ratio of attendees to trainers. So we can literally get 6 or 7 trainers. It's a very small group of people. Max is 15 per class per group. And so it's a good, intimate 2 workouts a day type of thing where we're kicking your ass and teaching you as much as we can in a short amount of time.
It's interesting because you know what? I give my Secrets of Becoming a Diet Guru class, which is, how to become a diet coach. And same thing. I give it in New York. No one from New York shows up. It's all people from out of state or actually out of country, like you said. And I can't figure out why the guys from New York are not attending it. It's really bizarre. But I think it goes back to the old thing that they always love you from where you're not. You know, people who see you all the time, they take for granted the knowledge that you have. But it's great that you're giving back like that. And I got to definitely come down and see that gym at some point because it sounds like a great facility. I got to ask you because it's driving me crazy. What did it cost you to outfit that gym? It had to be a huge, small sum.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, I funded it.
It's got to be an impressive number.
Well, man, I'll tell you what. It's all out of my pocket. I didn't take any loan. It wasn't cheap, man. I'll leave it at that. I mean, so the place I built it in prior to me taking it over was a printing shop with like huge holes in the wall and massive equipment in here, and I had to move all that shit out. There was a second floor. I literally was a shell. And if there's actually videos on YouTube of what it looked like before and then kind of the progression of it, it was a shell, man. So it was a huge undertaking. It was probably almost 7 months, 6-7 months before it was. Even now, I don't think it's complete. I mean, there's still more things I want to do, as you can imagine. But it was a big undertaking, man. We'll say it wasn't as much as $1 million, but it was more than $500,000.
Very big. And the reason I ask you that, there's a reason. I'm not trying to throw outrageous numbers. It's a huge amount of commitment on your part to put that much money into a facility. Okay, when you're not opening it to the public, you're making it a private facility. That just shows how much you care about this thing and how passionate you are about it. Because you probably could have done it for half that amount, and it would have been just as amazing to most people. But you did it because it was a labor of love. That's the point.
And dude, I wanted to make it perfect for me, and I don't know if I'm a perfectionist, but I want it to be awesome. I want people to come in and go, holy shit, and I want to come in and go, holy shit. I don't want to come every day and be stressed about something and be like, that looks like shit. I don't want to, I want it to be right, man. I want it to be tight, and when people come in, I want them to go, wow. Like, dude, I'm such a fan of bodybuilding and training that I grew up, training in hardcore gyms, traveling the world, and appreciating what a gym is, what a gym's meant to be. And I despise health clubs, man. Like, the typical big box health clubs make me want to vomit, and I don't want to go. Not only because they're massively overpopulated, but the equipment's a joke. So I hate it, man. So, and I built it for that. And I know there's hundreds and thousands of people out there just like me who despise what the big box gym is and where, the $10 model is taking the gym industry. So I went to the antithesis of the $10 model, man. If you want to train at my gym, it's not cheap, but it's private. You get to come in whenever you want. You get 24-hour access. You get a code to enter when you come in. You can't even open the door from the outside when you walk up on the street, man. The door's locked. You got to be able to enter a code to come in, or someone's got to buzz you in. I just don't want random people off the street, man. You can't just come in. You have to work with a trainer at least to start to make sure you're up to par. I don't want idiots coming and training my gym. I want it to be awesome. I want everyone to have awesome progress. I don't want anyone to come in who doesn't have goals and a plan. So we'll help anyone with a goal and a plan. We'll help you achieve that goal. We'll help you set goals. I think, the gym has been ruined because you have so many people that go in the gym and look the same day in, day out, don't ever get any progress because they don't know how to get progress. They don't know how to achieve their goals. So we're trying to overcome all those things as well as putting it in a badass facility that you just love to be in, man. And, the slogan of my gym is excellence without ego. So no one in here has an ego, nobody. And if they did, I kicked them out because, as I said, I built this all from my own pocket. I don't need your money. I'll kick you out and I'll train by myself in my little dungeon by myself. So, yeah, man, it's an awesome place. It's like a family environment, and every single person that comes here has loved it. So,
do you have like a nervous breakdown if someone puts their foot up on a bench or something like that, or are you?
No, man. If you're using the gym respectfully, dude, I encourage you throwing the weights, dropping weights. If you're training hard, keep yourself safe. If you're being an asshole, I'll kick you out. But, dude, I'm not anal about walking on things or dropping dumbbells or dropping plates. If you're deadlifting, drop the weights, man. If you're squatting, you get stuck, dump it. Like, I don't care. If you're respectful to my stuff, I have no problem. If you're being an idiot, then you probably wouldn't be in my gym to begin with.
Ben, in 2013, you kind of shocked the bodybuilding pro world, that is, when you placed second at that Arnold Classic. How did your persona, your life, the perception of you as a bodybuilder change after that second place finish?
Man, I don't know. To be honest, you tell me, Dave. I really don't know how it did.
I think it validated you.
Well, you know me, man. Like, I've always believed in myself. I always believed I could do it. It was just a matter of, like, sometimes shit gets in the way, man. Sometimes life gets in the way, and unfortunately, you know as well as me now. Like, I've got 3 kids and a family. Sometimes bodybuilding is no longer your first priority, man. And since then, up until that point, it really was. And since then, it's kind of shifted a little bit. And I've always believed I could do it. I've always believed I could be top at the Olympia if I put my mind to it, because I'm a pretty committed guy, man. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And eventually you realize maybe it's not worth it to be a selfish asshole to your kids, and maybe you want to be a good dad, and you say, well, okay, I can't justify training 4 or 5 hours a day to be an Arnold Classic champion anymore. Although I'm doing my best to do that on just less time. So you learn to be more effective, you learn to be more efficient, you learn to kind of get away with minimum effective dose rather than having to sacrifice 6 hours of your day to train and eat and sleep and et cetera, et cetera. So, I still think I can place really well. I still think I have a great chance of winning an Arnold Classic. Just trying to do it with a little different formula now.
There was that movie that came out a couple years ago, Generation Iron. It was supposed to be the Pumping Iron 2. I don't know if that really filled that gap, but in that movie, they kind of depicted you as the scientist, the guy who was using science to really, propel his bodybuilding career forward. Was that an act, or is that really how you feel? Because a lot of people didn't like the persona that you portrayed in there. I always felt that you were acting for the camera.
Man, as you can imagine, it's a Hollywood film. There's a good degree of playing things up well beyond what it is. As far as me using science to my advantage, man, dude, it's the only way I can compete, right? Like, I have to be mindful of every little thing that I do, everything that I eat, everything, the way that I train. Do I train in a lab? No. It's kind of ridiculous to say I have scientists watching over me. Like, no, but I do pay mindful attention to every single little thing that I do. I am training more scientifically and more intelligently than most bodybuilders out there, just because I have a background in it, man, and I'd be stupid not to, right? Like, if I can definitively say that this way is better than that way, I'd be stupid to do it any other way, right? Like, and I've noticed a massive difference in my physique, and everyone will notice that this year when I get on stage. It's really just started to click, man. Like, it's just really started to click in the last 12 months for me. Really, how to use weight training and weights to my advantage rather than slinging weights around like a monkey. I'm learning to contract muscle against load, which is ultimately what muscles are meant to do, right? I mean, ultimately, muscles, like, the cliche is muscles don't know how much weight you're lifting, which is obviously true. So it's learning how to use the weights as a tool rather than slinging shit like a monkey.
I like that analogy. But, it is true. All professional bodybuilders are genetically gifted athletes, obviously, but some are more gifted than others. Take the Ronnie Colemans, the guys that are just the flex wheelers. And, you're in an arena, obviously, where you're a gifted athlete, but you're not Ronnie Coleman gifted. And you got to use every tool you have at your disposal. I always said that. I always did better than I should have done because I understood nutrition, I understood supplementation, I understood the science of how to train. And I think that, people don't understand that you're using every tool at your disposal to be the best bodybuilder you can be. And you're probably raising your game above what people would normally think would be capable of your genetic gifts. And I think to me, that should be celebrated rather than poo-pooed.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, at the end of the day, there's always going to be someone that wants to hate on you for, whatever it may be, from the way you train to the color of your skin to the color of the underwear you're wearing that day. Like, people are always looking for a reason to hate on you just because they probably aren't secure in themselves. And I couldn't care less, man, at this point in my life. I do things for myself at this point because I enjoy training. I enjoy the way that I train. I think it's extremely effective. I keep myself safe. I don't hurt myself, and there's always going to be guys who are hating on it. That's cool, man. I mean, I'll shake your hand, and when you realize that I have something of value to offer, and I'll shake your hand for that too. Either way.
The Arnold Classic is coming up in 2 weeks. Your name is obviously not in the lineup. You won't be doing this year's event. You're waiting to New York Pro. What led you to the idea, or I guess the strategic move to skip the Arnold this year and do the New York Pro, given that you had been doing the Arnold the last 3 years in a row?
5 years in a row.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. No, it's been a long time. To be honest, man, I was dieting for the Arnolds. Full disclosure, nobody knows, but I was dieting. I did 4 weeks of diet for the Arnold, and I ended up tearing my hamstring, and I wasn't training. I was being an idiot. And I didn't. It wasn't a terrible tear. It was just enough to keep me off the list, man. It was just enough to keep me out of the prep. Because you can't do the Arnold Classic and be 70%, and you could imagine a hamstring tear, even if it wasn't massively, massive tear that was going to inhibit my aesthetic, it was absolutely going to hinder my ability to train 100%. So, it kept me out for about 4 weeks. And because that was kind of the middle of prep, I just shut it down and, pushed it back to the New York Pro. And obviously, man, I did New York Pro in 2010, and I love the show. It's awesome. So plus it allows me to compete a few more times consecutively. As another kind of side note for me was, after the Arnold, the only options are Australia and then Brazil. And I don't want to go to Australia and Brazil. I've gone too many times now. So I just want to kind of stay local, stay in North America, and do 3-4 shows in a row to compete, man. I've never really done that in my career. So I'm going to do a few shows and qualify for the Olympia.
A good plan to me. Now, you also have another... you keep adding new job duties to your repertoire, to your resume, I should say. You're taking over Dan Solomon's role on Pro Bodybuilding Weekly now, which I think is now called Pro Bodybuilding Worldwide. And how'd that come about? You and Chad Nichols are the new hosts.
Well, Chad and I are tight, man. And Dan and I have become really well acquainted in the last 6 months. Since Dan was launching his digital muscle project, him and I have been in pretty close contact regarding stuff to do with that. And man, I'm a talker. I'm always a guy who doesn't mind throwing his opinion here and there. So they just asked, man. They brought it up, and I said, let me think about it. I'll think about it, but I don't want to take on something that I'm not going to love doing. I love talking to Chad, man, and it's kind of a hard decision because I don't like to gossip. I don't like to talk about people, and I kind of felt like that's what the direction of the show is. Like, if people want to hear about bodybuilding, what do they want to hear about? They want to hear about what's going on in the sport. They want to hear about gossip. They want to hear opinions. And as an athlete, I'm not really entitled to an opinion. I don't want to give opinions of my competitors because it doesn't matter what I think, and I would rather keep their respect and compete against them rather than be the asshole that everybody's kind of pissed off at the moment. So yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it. I said, listen, man, I'm not going to be controversial. I'm not going to throw stupid comments out there to get ratings. I'm happy to give my opinions, or I'm happy to, observe what's going on. And, man, my thing with bodybuilding is I love training. I love helping people understand the contest process, the training process, all these things. And if I can contribute that, then maybe people will listen, who knows? And I guess they like the idea of having someone who's a little more current on there, someone who's got some behind-the-scenes access to some cool things. So, if that's what it turns out to be, then, hopefully that works out.
Good luck with that gig, and obviously being a radio co-host myself, it could be fun. But you know what? I like to talk about the gossip because I'm not in the sport. Like you said, I'm not competing anymore. So it's not like I'm talking about my contemporaries. I'm talking about the history of the sport. I'm talking about what's going on. I can give my opinions. If I don't like the way someone looks or a judging decision, I can throw it out there. It's not going to matter. It doesn't affect my placings. But you're right. It is more difficult when you're on stage and you're actively competing to be a host of something. But then you got Chad, who's not afraid to say anything. So I guess you got to balance each other off in that sense.
I think one of the cool aspects will be, and this is one of the reasons I chose to do it, is because Chad and I are probably going to be working together this year for my prep. And I think it'll be a cool insight for people to hear what's kind of going on with me behind the scenes. So do our kind of check-ins with each other on the radio show. I think people would be interested in that, especially if I didn't do New York and the Olympia, and they kind of get an update. And I think people will tune in just for that, if nothing else. So.
Now, Scitec Nutrition has been in your corner for a number of years now. Obviously, you've traveled the world with them. Is that something that you still enjoy? Do you still enjoy getting on a plane and going to foreign countries and meeting all the fans? Because that was something I always loved as an athlete. And obviously, with Scitec, they give you that ability to do that because they are a worldwide international company.
Right. I'll tell you what, man, I think it's the best part of my job because when people come to see me at an event, they don't line up to go, "Oh, Ben Pakulski, I love you. You're my favorite bodybuilder." Nobody gives a shit about me as a bodybuilder. Well, some people may, but most people say, "Ben, you changed my life." So with my online training, with my programs, with my videos, etc., I'll have the biggest...
I think we lost Ben there. while Johnny tries to get him back. The thing I got to tell you a story about Ben Pakulski, because in 2008, Ben contacted me and he said to me, Dave, I want you to help me with my prep for the North American and Canadian Nationals. And I said, sure. And, we started working together. And, the thing that struck me about Ben was a very confident guy, and to me, I like to work with confident people and Ben obviously was he really enjoyed the science of, what I was about. And I think, we worked well together because he asked a lot of questions. I had a lot of answers for him. And, I feel like at some point I contributed to his scientific knowledge base. And, he took a lot of the information I gave him and he ran with it and he became his own man. And I think that was great. And to be able to see him, turn pro at that Canadian Nationals and then go on to what he's done today is impressive. Ben, we got you back. I was just telling everyone how we first met in 2008. And, we worked together for the North American, Canadian Nationals when you turned pro. And, to see the evolution of your career from that point, not only from a competitive standpoint, but also from a knowledge base and what you're now giving back to the community is just, it's admirable.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, I remember, first time we interacted through Steve Bleckman. You were definitely, there for me for some advice along the way.
We were talking about visiting all around the globe, and you visit with
right.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, man. So, I get, typically I get the biggest lineups at the Scitec booth, and it's not because people line up to me and say, oh, Ben, you're my favorite bodybuilder. I love you as a bodybuilder. They line up to say, Ben, you changed my life with your training, with your programs, with your videos. And that to me is the most rewarding thing possible, right? Like, I don't give a shit if people like me as a bodybuilder. If you like me as a bodybuilder, great. That's awesome. Like, I do it because I love it. I don't do it for the recognition. But, the fact that people come up to you and say, man, you changed my life, that's impactful, and that motivates me to keep going, man. That's why a lot of my focus now is shifted toward helping people, man. That's why I built a gym, to drive my online membership site, to provide more content, to provide more value to the people who follow what I do. That's ultimately what it's about, man. Who gives a shit if people like me for my legs, for my calves? It doesn't matter, right? That's going to go away eventually. It's kind of like looking at a chick who's smoking hot when she's 27, but by the time she's 40, she looks like a chewed boot. Nobody cares. But if you provide value, people will remember you forever, and that's ultimately what I'm trying to do.
Important, and this is a good point for all bodybuilders out there watching this. You have to carve a niche out for yourself so that when you are done competing, because you will be done competing at some point, you can still make a good living and still contribute to the bodybuilding industry ad infinitum. Because, as an information provider and obviously as a supplement company owner, I can continue to give back to the community. Ben, as a person who's running his training camps and giving his information as well, will continue to do that well after he's done competing. And that's what really bodybuilding is all about. I mean, if you don't give back what you learned, you kind of not going to be a person that people are going to look up to and want to emulate. And I just believe that a lot of our former champions, and maybe you can speak to this, Ben, a little bit, have been people that didn't give back, and maybe that's why they're not as popular today as they was when they were competing.
Like I said, man, people love them for their physiques, and they'll maybe forever love them for their physique, but they're not changing anybody's life. They're not impacting their life in any way other than that, right? So, when I started training, I was 17 years old, and I looked for that one person who I could listen to with respect to training and nutrition and supplementation and all that stuff. There's nobody, man. You have to kind of put together this kind of mishmash of 8 or 10 different guys to really learn all the information. So I kind of set out to become that guy. So, not that I say I know everything about nutrition, because I know means am I a nutritionist. But when it comes to training, I believe I can teach somebody or everyone something. So I tried to become kind of the master of, hypertrophy training. Obviously, along the way, I learned quite a bit about nutrition, supplementation, in the hopes of just being someone people can rely on for great information, man. No bullshit. Great information, and people continue to come back and buy my programs and you can join my member site and attend my camps at the gym and watch the videos on YouTube, et cetera. And so that's just that you got to transcend what is going to go away. Eventually your looks are going to go away, and you got to have some value of substance behind it.
I couldn't agree more. And I want to just wish you the best of luck, obviously, with your prep for the New York Pro, your Mi40 gym down there in Florida, and, of course, the hosting job at PBW. and Scitec Nutrition. You got a lot going on your plate. I want to send my best out to your family, Ben, and thanks for taking time to talk to us tonight.
Thanks, Dave. I just want to quickly shout out to Scitec, man. Like, I've been with these guys for 2 years, and they're a fantastic company, man. I couldn't be more happy. Treat us like world-class superstars. Their products are fantastic. They're always researching. They're always actually asking for my input and my insight on how to better their products, how to improve new products. And they're just such an awesome company to work with. I'm so appreciative, and I'm even more appreciative now here in the U.S. Because, I mean, I get emails every day of pissed off clients of mine saying, why can't I get Scitec in the U.S.? So now you can get it in the U.S. So everybody's happy about that. So thank you, Scitec, and I appreciate it.
Take us to the end of another episode of Live with RX Muscle's Iron Road to the Arnold Classic, brought to you by Scitec Nutrition. Visit scitecnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time.